as real estate professionals know, a lot of systems that we use do not talk to each other. Not only do they not talk to each other, they beef with each other. Um, and it can take quite a bit of time to be able to not just, either you're doing your manual entry from one thing to the next, of course, that can lead to more errors. You can also have a thing where you have to pay someone a large sum of money to make a model that is able to ingest information from one type of document or one type of program into another. Um, and there's this, I think, in hindsight, and you can tell me feel differently. There's almost like a fear from these different the current incumbents to let there be any more. If there was more compatibility, that would mean that they were actually less important, and they wouldn't be able to charge as much as they do. And so, tell me, think about a little bit of your experience with when it comes to compatibility, both on buy side, sell side, what that has meant for like essentially the roles that when you're working on these roles and you're trying to take the information from one thing to the next, how has that affected your career?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, you know, as technology has become more integrated into the system, yeah, I always think about it as like at one point everybody had cable, right? And cable worked well, right? Cable was everybody's Excel. Everybody used it. The model came out. Maybe you would send your Excel model out. Most likely you didn't. You send
Hmm.
a PDF and
Hmm.
somebody copied it over and manipulated the data, but everybody used cable. Now there's a streaming service that pops up, but it's one streaming service is Peacock, one is Paramount, one is Netflix, and one is this and that, and all and Hulu and Disney. And now I can't access all of my shows. Right? I have to subscribe to this and subscribe to that, and maybe this my favorite actor is on this show, but then they're on this show on this other brand, and I can't follow them around, and things are going on. So that's sort of how the technology is kind of evolved in the space. Some technology is great for property management. Some technology is great for assembling reports and accounting. Some technology is great for pulling data out and trends out. Some is great for investor relations. Some is great for asset management. Some is great for underwriting. Right? But now I have to pay to use that technology. Then I have to pay more for that technology to be used across my office. That's right. You get one subscription, then I have to multiple subscriptions. Then I got to pay more for that subscription or that technology, talk to technology that I already have existing, or I have to go out and get completely new technology that now is compatible to that technology I just introduced into my processes, right? And if I don't, now I have to find a stopgap measure. That's usually me or somebody else taking the data set from one and enter it into another, right? Or printing out the data and sending it out in whatever fashion comes out of that particular technology. Again, creating issues and for errors, just adding more touch points into a system that's already expensive and hard to deal with. Or the other option that you mentioned is now have to pay somebody that knows the two technologies to create a way for those technologies to bridge each other, right? Which now means I need a server space or the cloud space. I have to create it myself, and it's a customized solution that I now have to pay somebody else to maintain because I don't know how it's maintained, right? So now I'm hiring another person. Again, another touch point in the system. If that breaks, is this person available to fix it? How quickly can they fix it? How do I know that now I still have to check that the information being ingested, coming out of this, or talking to the two systems is the same information that was entered in or that I see in the original system that I was in. So yeah, I can tell you from my experience that it's a painful process. Right? If I'm looking at an asset and I'm trying to pull together due diligence for purchase, right? And a certain operator is using one management system and they provide me with that file in that format of that system, I might not have a system that can read that. And now I've got to go back to them and ask them to basically print it out and get it to me in a way that I can manipulate it, or I got to say, yeah, you need to downgrade compatibility. You need to export it into an Excel. Send me the Excel, and then I've got to like import the Excel in, right? Because I can't just dump the Excel file in something and will pull it out, right? So it's very cumbersome and add time to the process, which is usually late at night because you want to get everything ready for somebody to be able to review in the morning. The last thing I'll say about this is I've had issues where you work extremely hard in a model, you got it in the system that you know the other person uses that system, you send the file out, and you get an email a day later saying, hey, you have a newer version of that system than I did. I need you to backward compatibility your system so that I can read the report. And I'm like, but the new system allows me to do these 4 or 5 things. That's a key to my presentation. And if I revert back, I can no longer do these things, and I have to come back out of the system and build it on my own. And I'm sitting there like, that was the whole point of me paying to get this capability in the first place.
Yeah.
And being on the having been on the operator side, you're looking at the investor, the equity member, or the lender going, you're the only reason why I even got this system in the first place. Now you telling me that you don't have the updated version of that system? Why did I get that system? Why didn't you tell me? It's all these communication scenarios and struggles that you can have um, in an everyday operation, and it's just the IT portion of it, right? And and what you're trying to do, or what Cobra is trying to do, is say, you know, we can put everything in one closed environment, right? So when it goes out the door, somebody can log in to our system and have access to all that data point, and then they can do their own analysis and their own manipulation of the same data
Mhm.
in the same hub, right?
Yep.
You're not necessarily having to step out of the ecosystem to do the IR aspect of what you've been underwriting for days or weeks, right? Everything lives in the same under the same umbrella.
Yep. And then there's a separate piece, and get your thoughts on this too, where we understand that the other platforms purposely don't want to play with each other and don't want to play with Copa either. But we're able to take the reports they create and then extract that data from whatever reports they create. So now, as long as you know that you're getting the same accuracy to our previous
Mm-hmm.
conversation,
Mm-hmm.
now you can say, well, I'm compatible with everything. So like we're the I forget if it's the type O, the one that can
Blood,
accept, yeah, type O blood. Where it's like I can accept
universal
any.
donor.
Yeah, we're the universal we're the universal receiver. If someone wants to receive it back, they can, but they'll be like, nope, I don't want them. I no transfusions for me. Um, and so, how do you think that will change, or how do you think that would have changed your career previously if you could know that no matter whatever somebody's stuff spit out, there we're looking, all the documents that we look at are always looking for the same things. They're put in different formats, different pages, different places, different colors, but they're all saying the same thing. So if you knew that what you were getting back, no matter how it was sent to you, was going to be accurate, how would that have changed your life?
I mean, you're talking about significant time. You're talking about just transparency, right, throughout the process. So imagine if the same system a client is using to provide you data is the same system you're now able to extract and run trends on that same data set, right? And it exists in other industries, right? And so it's not something that is revolutionary to the technology space or to business in general. It just hasn't been done in the real estate set, right? So, you have different partners in healthcare, and they utilize the same parent patient file and data set throughout the patient's life and in the transfer of the patient's data set. So we're basically saying the same thing for Cobra. How it affects me early on in my career, even now to this day, is I effectively would be able to um, not only trust the data that I'm getting from the client, but trust that the output I'm getting, trust the information I'm providing to the vendor is consistent with the source, right? So there's no need to go back and recheck the source as long as the source is accurate in reflecting what the physical world is. Once it gets into the hub, it's flowing throughout the system. And any changes to the source flows throughout all the systems. So if somebody spots an error in the source and they make a change here, I see it real life. In real life, I see the change in my analysis. Oh, you made a mistake in your accounting? Update it on your end. I immediately see it on my end. Right? So that changes. Or if I come back and I'm like, oh, this is different. Now I know something has changed in the source document. And now I can go back and say, hey, why does this change? Because now my analysis is telling me X, Y, and Z. And with Copper, you have the ability to make comment in the system. So that that flows through as well. So now I know I can go back to the source document. I can say, okay, they made a comment that says, all right, hey, there's a comment, two numbers were transferred, or well, like incorrect. We made the adjustment here, and I'm like, okay, great. I know I can explain that in the memo. It's real quick, especially when deadlines are coming up, right? And I don't have time to have to call you on the phone. Boom, the information's right there. All right, hey, before you go into the meeting, this was updated. Here's why. And so it really just helped. So I think for me, early on in my career to even to today, it would be one of the biggest lifts.
And then also on the flip side, when you had to send things to people and you had the newer version of Excel generally, how easy would it have been to be like, I know that I have put this information, it's accurate, it's good, it actually has more functionality, to be able to know that you could just send it to somebody and that that person would be able to see it no matter what.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I'm giving you access. It's like data room.
Hmm.
It's like a data room, right? So in the data room, you're just giving all the due diligence material, and you're like, good luck.
Hmm.
Read through it, find whatever the errors are. Do your thing, right?
Yeah.
But living in Copa, effectively, I'm I'm not only am I giving you the data room, I'm giving you all the documents and information loaded up, ready for you to do your analysis. And on top of that, um, when you talk about transferring information, I really am not transferring anything. I'm allowing you to log in to an already established data set that's there, right? So you can do your own manipulation off of the same data set that I'm working on, right? So going back to my point on any changes are consistent all the way through, any manipulation you do is going to be apparent to you on your view and your outcome for your reports, right? But that live data set really doesn't change unless it changed from the source, right? So when we talk about communicating across the players in the process, it's seamless, right? And that's the goal. It's just, hey, you as the equity investor, you as the debt provider, mezzanine, bridge, whatever, can run your own analysis knowing that the cap stack remains the same. And if something changes on to one aspect of the cap stack, it flows through. Oh, okay. All right, we got a gap in the deal. Maybe the price can go up, right? The prep can now come back to the deal and say, hey, we'll take a larger check size. The debt might come back and say, hey, because of performance, we need to drop the LTV. We need to make this adjustment. And everybody sort of knows. Now, there are people that you may not want them to know, and you can always change their right to be able to access the information on the final product. But um, you might not want the debt under knowing exactly what the equities returns are. Well, that's fine. The debt doesn't see that,
Yep.
right? You can
Separate.
just,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
you can. It's a separate access point to the
Yep.
same data set, right?
Yep.
So you're not worrying that the debt's return on a debt yield is like 7.5 or an 8 because the investor wants to get a 20% IRR return,
Hmm.
right? But
Hmm.
if the person if the equity member got at 17.5, and the debt yield could be 8.5 to 9, right? Yeah, that's something where the central sponsor or the person running the transaction may know, but
Yep.
not the individual players, right?
Yep.
But to your point, everybody's working off of the same data set, everybody's communicating, and you can communicate in the system.
Yep.
So instead of talking about, oh, now taking this and I print it out and send it to an email to everybody to talk to, now I can just send it to you within the system.
Those features are coming soon, and that's where we get really excited because that connectivity, that compatibility goes beyond just files. Now it includes people.
That's right. And I
That's
am very excited for that coming down the line.